What if the story you're telling about your marriage is holding you back? Maybe you're stuck in a cycle of the same arguments and resentments. Maybe the excitement's faded. Today, we're going to explore how narratives that we tell and hold shape our marriages, how a small shift in that can unlock a stronger, more meaningful connection. So if you're new to this channel, if my face is new to you, I'm Dr. Andrew Smith. I'm a clinical psychologist, creator of this approach called Rewire, which is an evidence-based approach rooted in cognitive behavioral therapy principles that really puts relationships at the center of our meaning and fulfillment and thriving. Today, I'm drawing on over 15 years of experience helping individuals and couples reshape their relationship stories. Before we dive in, I want to offer you a free guide to use this approach that we've designed. It's packed with tools to help you shape a healthier marriage narrative, and you can use it. You can start using it as soon as today. Link in the description to rewirewellness.co. So as we dive into today's content, I want to set the stage. The video today is really about the power of the story that you tell about your marriage. We're going to explore this in 3 key parts. Number 1, why your personal and shared narratives matter. Number 2, how they shape your relationship. Number 3, how to choose a story that takes in all the information about all the challenges that you've been through and the hope for the future, how to choose a story that promotes resilience and growth. So let's start with part 1, the power of story in marriage. As human beings, we are natural storytellers. When we as couples first meet other folks that we're trying to develop relationships with, one of the first questions that we're asked is, how did you two meet? Why do you think that is? It's because we convey our stories and our values through this power of narrative. And it helps us find people with whom we share values and can develop potentially deeper connections with. In marriage, your shared story becomes a foundation. It's how you interpret the highs and the lows and everything in between. Is a conflict proof of contamination, or is it a challenge that you need to work through to get to a higher level of understanding and resilience? Narrative, in this case, can either build connection or create distance. So part 2 here, I want to talk about the difference between 2 fundamental types of narratives that I see in my therapy practice and in the world. So in my work, I see 2 main types really, and they can be sort of codified as redemption narratives or contamination narratives. A redemption narrative is really about resilience. It says, we've faced challenges, but we've come out stronger. This story encourages hope and engagement. It encourages sticking with it during a conflict to get to the other side. However, a contamination narrative sees difficulties as proof that things are only going to get worse. It sounds like it was good once, but now it's broken, so why bother? This mindset can prevent us from putting in the effort to reconnect. It's really a self-protective mindset to prevent us from feeling pain. So I just want to prompt you for a little engagement here. Do you see yourself in any of these narratives? It's really uncomfortable to think about where you might see contamination narratives showing up. But it's really important to root it out so that you can do the 3rd piece that I want to talk about today. We'll shift to section 3, shifting towards a redemption narrative. Now, a redemption narrative, it doesn't mean ignoring real pain or pretending everything's fine. Acknowledging the struggles in your marriage is essential. It's actually where true change begins. I want to draw just a really simple picture of what a redemption narrative looks like. A redemption narrative looks like something that was good or is good that meets a challenge and goes down into this valley through which effort and work make it good again. So you can see that in this narrative structure, the person or the people down in this valley are not necessarily in a comfortable, known, or good place. There is challenge involved. There is a hero's journey involved in this, where you started good, met and faced some challenges, and had to work hard to get back up to this other side. So what's cool and exciting about a redemption narrative and transformative, it tells us that hard work and self-reflection can be used to improve. This mindset, it can really motivate you to invest in your marriage and help you to break out of patterns that no longer serve you. I want to show you something else. I want to show you visually what a contamination narrative looks like. A contamination narrative, unlike a resilience narrative, a contamination narrative doesn't have this extra tail back into the redemptive journey or back out of this challenge or this valley. A contamination narrative said something was good and then it broke. And it's going to stay broken. So why bother? Why try? I should protect myself from the inevitable pain. You can see that as opposed to this valley response, that the response down in this valley says, I know we can get back. What do we need to do? This says, there's no hope in trying. Imagine how demotivating the kinds of things that this motivates, this contamination narrative motivates us towards. It motivates us towards self-protection, self-isolation, instead of hanging in there to engage to get to this place together. So I want you to just like really honestly self-evaluate and ask yourself, are you protecting yourself from disappointment, from pain, assuming things will never change? Are you open to the possibility of rebuilding, changing, improving? Shifting to a redemption narrative is about engaging and acting out of hope rather than digging the hole deeper for the inevitable loss and pain. So let's shift to the next, to part 3, practical steps to rewrite your marriage story. So let's bring this into real life situations. Imagine a moment of conflict with your spouse. In a contamination mindset, you might react with, this always happens, why bother trying? But in a redemption mindset, you'd respond differently, perhaps saying, this is tough, but I'm willing to work through it with you. Here are 3 steps to start rewriting your marriage story. Number 1, recognize the current narrative. It's all about acceptance of the way that things actually are instead of the way that you wish they were. Be honest with yourself. It's common to self-protect. We do it all the time, even in healthy marriages sometimes. By taking on a contamination narrative, we protect ourselves. I've been guilty of it. Take a moment to observe the story you're living by. Write down the words that you use often when describing your marriage, and you might get to the truth about whether or not you're organizing around contamination or redemption. Number 2, shift to a redemption outlook. Have courage. Challenge yourself to find one positive takeaway, even in hard moments, that's challenging for you to move towards improvement and possibly a bright future. And number 3, have the courage to act out of hope. Choose one small behavior that aligns with a redemption story. Initiate some effort. Hang in there in a conversation that you've been avoiding. Find ways to generate healthy conversation around difficult to cover topics in order to get to this other side in the redemption narrative. It's just one piece of what Rewire can offer. For more ways to transform your marriage, I want you to check out the other videos in this series. And please visit rewirewellness.co to grab our free relationship guide that can help you with practical tools for building a healthier connection, a healthier marriage. Thank you for being here today. You could be doing a lot of other things with your time, but you chose to watch this, and I really appreciate that. I think it's probably good for your marriage and mine too. Remember that the story you tell about your marriage matters. Even small shifts in how you think and act can bring big change over time if you're consistent and reliable with it. Let me know in the chat which new story you're committing to. Don't forget to explore the rest of the series. And again, grab our free guide at rewirewellness.co. Here's to rewriting marriage stories for stronger, more connected futures, and carrying out those commitments we chose so long ago. Thanks. Bye.